History of Mexico. Mexico is an antiquated land that had just seen the ascent and fall of extraordinary Indian realms before the appearance of the Europeans. Mexico is an antiquated land that had just seen the ascent and fall of extraordinary Indian realms before the appearance of the Europeans. The Olmec were the first, trailed by the Maya, Toltec, Zapotec, Mixtec, and the Maya once more. The Indian civilizations made significant discoveries in science and agribusiness. They assembled extraordinary urban areas and made notable masterpieces. Timeline of the history of Mexico. AD 250 to 900. Traditional Maya city-states prosper in the most distant south of current Mexico, just as in the neighboring Belize and Guatemala, prior to enduring a collapse that is considered mysterious. AD 0 to 500. The major religious and cultural focus of Teotihuacan thrives. 6th to 7th century. New people came flooding in central Mexico from the north, including Nahuatl speakers. 10th to 16th century. Renewed Maya civilization blooms in the northern Yucatan Peninsula, making significant urban communities like Uxmal and Chichen Itza. 1428 to 1521. The most recent of a long line of native civilizations, the Aztec Empire, a union of Nahuatl-speaking city-states driven by Tenochtitlan, builds up authority over central Mexico. Spanish conquest. 1519 to 1521. Spain's conquest begins with the small Spanish army that was led by Hernán Cortés landing at the Veracruz. In 1521, along with local anti-Aztecs, Cortés' men captivated the capital Tenochtitlan. Mexico is the modern world. 1521 to 1820. The Viceroyalty of New Spain forms part with Mexico. Independence. 1810 to 1821. War of Independence finishes with the making of the short-living Mexican Empire, which incorporates Central America toward the southern boundary of Costa Rica in the modern age. 1824. Mexico becomes the Federal Republic. Central American provinces separate, becoming Honduras, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Guatemala, and El Salvador. 1836. The former region of Texas, at this point progressively populated by English-speaking Americans, withdraws after a war, proceeding to join the United States 9 years after. 1846 to 1848. Mexican-American War closes with Mexico being compelled to sell its northern areas, counting modern-time California, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah, to the U.S. 1855 to 1872. Limiting of the landholdings and power of the Catholic Church by the liberal reforms in the LA Reforma period. 1864 to 1867. Archduke Maximilian of Austria is introduced as head by France and moderate landowners, however is overturned and executed by Republican renegades. 1876 to 1911. Porfirio Diaz's 35-year-long dictatorship brings strength, modernization, and financial development, yet at the cost of political restraint. Revolution. 1910 to 1913. Porfirio Diaz's dictatorship ends with the Mexican Revolution, and a constitutional government is established. 1913 to 1914. The liberal Francisco Madero presents land change and work enactment prior to being killed. Victoriano Huerta holds onto power. Political turmoil proceeds with Emiliano Zapata driving a labor revolt in the South. 1916 to 1917. Indecisive U.S. invasion against revolutionary leader Francisco Pancho Villa. 1920. Followed by a decade of uncertainty, the president Venustiano Carranza gets murdered. Institutional Revolutionary Party rule. 1929 to 1934. In 1929, the former president Plutarco Elias Calles established the Institutional Revolutionary Party, PRI, which ruled the government for 71 years. President Lázaro Cárdenas starts the nationalization of oil, expansion of industry, and reforming of land. 1960 to 1968. The uproar among laborers and workers over unequal distribution of wealth is suppressed. In 1968, the student show in Mexico City during the Olympic Games was terminated by security. Many protesters are injured or killed. The degree of the brutality stuns the country. Discovery of oil. 1976. Enormous reserves of offshore oil are found. The Cantarell Field turns into the pillar of Mexico's oil creation. 1993. Parliament approves the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, with Canada and the U.S. Rebellion of Chiapas. 1994. A guerrilla rebellion in Chiapas by the Zapatista National Liberation Army is ruthlessly smothered by government troops. The Zapatistas and government conceded to greater autonomy for the native Mayans of Chiapas the next year. 1996 to 1997. The Popular Revolutionary Army, EPR, attacked the government that produced a revolt in the South in 1996. Right after this year, in 1997, there was a loss in the election to PRI. 2000. Vicente Fox of the Conservative Alliance for Change wins the election for president. Parliamentary races see the Alliance ascend as the most grounded party, barely beating the PRI. Fun facts about Mexico. The name of Mexico takes us to the tropical springs, colors, festivals, culture, vacations, and amazing food. Here are some facts about the wonderful and lively Mexico City. Mexico is the fourth most biodiverse country in the world. Mexico is widely popular because of water-filled caves, popular pools, and natural pits. Mexico has the largest pyramid in the world. Mexico is a land of volcanoes. It is one of the largest countries in the world. Mexico has 1,365 islands along the coastline. Mexico has the largest university in the world. Conclusion. A country that is rich in culture and tradition, Mexico comprises 31 states and one government region. It is the third major country in Latin America and has probably the biggest population in excess of 100 million, making it the home of more Spanish speakers than some other nation.